Hello everyone, this is Godzillawolf 1 back with another movie review, and today's review will be of M. Night Shyamalan's latest film, Split. Shyamalan has been a pretty divisive filmmaker in the past. While which of his films are good or bad is up to debate, it's generally accepted he's made quite a few stinkers. So, how does Split stand up? That's what you're here to find out, isn't it? But first, let's get to a spoiler-free plot summary. A girl named Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and two of her friends find themselves victims of a very unusual kidnapping. As they soon find out, their abductor is merely one of 23 personalities inhabiting the body of a man with dissociative identity disorder named Kevin, played by James McAvoy. If they want any hope of escape, they will have to learn how to deal with several of Kevin's personalities before Kevin's most dangerous persona, the Beast, can manifest. After the visit, many people wondered if Shyamalan had gotten his old filmmaking mojo back, and I honestly think he has. Split was an enjoyable ride from start to finish, and I believe that's in no small part to the people that Shyamalan was able to bring on for this film. And I'm not just talking about the actors either. Cinematography for this film was done by the same guy who did the cinematography for It Follows, another pretty recent horror film that was also pretty good. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce this guy's last name, but his work's pretty fantastic. It does a good job of building up this sense of dread and unease throughout the film, and I can definitely see why Shyamalan apparently decided calling him in right after seeing It Follows. This is actually a really big part of why this film is so good, because the way it's shot doesn't rely on stupid jump scares all the time to make the audience feel frightened. It builds a genuine sense of unease and dread, which a lot of horror movies are missing recently, and I feel is very welcome. The music score for this film is really good, and avoids actually a lot of traps that a lot of horror films fall into. It's very subtle in a lot of scenes, and overall felt more focused on building this sense of unease in the atmosphere than actually building up to a specific scare. That might sound like a negative, but it's actually the opposite. Go see Chris Stockman's video on the problem with horror movies today. He goes into a lot more detail and a lot better explanation than I can here for how this works. But the basic point is, the music in this film isn't a long string of jump scare chords. It's building this atmosphere around the actual scares. And that's why the score works so well. You're basically not always getting built up to this one specific scare where there's a big scare chord and, all the tension's released. No, throughout the film, it's building up that tension, and it's always there. You never know when something's going to happen. There's never a point in this film where it feels like the music is building up and then blares out loud for one specific scare. Rather, the music is constantly building up this atmosphere that makes the scares more frightening. Apparently, this was another instance where Shyamalan picked his crew based on seeing their previous work, namely Wes Dill and Thorson after seeing his work on The Jinx. I've never seen The Jinx, but given his work on this film, I don't have any argument with Shyamalan's choice in the matter. He did a really good job. This isn't to say the actors didn't pull their own weight. Anya Taylor-Joy did a really good job as our main protagonist. At first, I didn't like her character very much, or find her very interesting, but as layers are pulled back and we see why she's the way she is, she actually becomes pretty interesting and compelling. I find that really cool when a film can do that, when at first you're kind of like, I don't know about this character, but as layers are pulled back, you start to feel more and more attached or intrigued by them. And this film does that pretty well. Betty Buckley is also a major character in this film. She plays Kevin's psychiatrist, and I found her really entertaining and sympathetic. Her character is pretty smart, and you can tell there are times where she knows more about Kevin as personalities than they think she does, and knows how to use that to her advantage. And I really like that, because that's kind of part of being a psychiatrist, is knowing your patient's mind and how to get in there and figure out what's going on, and I felt that really worked for this character. And the fact she was a very entertaining character also is a very good thing, because she's also the source of a lot of expository dialogue, and this film would have been really dull if it weren't her. Like, this dialogue coming out from anyone else would have been really boring, but she makes it funny, or makes it entertaining, or makes it intriguing, and that's a testament to how well she played the part. And then there's James McAvoy, and oh boy did he hit it out of the park. Now, one nitpick is we don't see all 23 of Kevin's personalities, though I think we may see more of them in the future, depending on what Shyamalan decides to do. But the ones we see in the film are really well portrayed. McAvoy puts on these different accents, these different demeanors, these different distinct personalities for each of these alters, as they're called, which is an actual term in psychology, by the way. You learn things. Each of these personalities, even the ones we only see briefly, I can remember distinctly right now. And it's been a few days since I saw the film. Just show me a picture of any of them. No dialogue, no audio, no quotes, and I'll probably be able to identify them just from memory. The performance is that good. Just looking at the pictures, you can tell which personality it is because of how he handled himself. My favorite scenes in the film are when McAvoy has to transition between one personality to another really rapidly. There are several scenes in the movie where it's like he cycles through 4 to 7 personalities in one scene with no cuts, and he does such a good job. You can tell the moment he changes personality, even before he says something, which personality he turned to. McAvoy also did a good job transitioning between comedy and horror, and I think that's way more important to this film than it would seem like at first glance. The fact his personalities can be funny or terrifying, and the transition can happen very quickly, is a big part of why this was scary. Like, if you've ever seen Misery, how the main antagonist in that can snap between two sides of her personality at the drop of a dime, and how scary that is. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Sometimes his personalities are funny, sometimes they're scary, and it can be in the same scene. It can transition like that. And I like that because it kept me on edge, because I didn't know what these personalities were going to do. And the fact that sometimes he did transition between personalities rapidly also kind of lent to that. And I think that was a really big reason this film felt so good, because it balanced being tense all the time, but not being too tense. And what was tense was the things you should actually be afraid of. Seriously, give McAvoy an Oscar for this performance. He deserves it. It is that good. Now, this isn't to say Split is perfect. Unfortunately, there are some problems. Anya Taylor-Joy's fellow kidnapping victims do an okay job, but they're unfortunately not very interesting. We don't learn much about them, and it's clear where most of the characterization in this film went to. Though, to be fair, it's less they were focusing only on 2 characters and more that they were focusing on so many characters, given how many characters McAvoy was technically playing. Still, this is a common complaint with the film I've heard, and I agree with it. That said, they're not unlikable, and I wasn't screaming for them to die or get off screen so the story could continue the entire time. So with that in mind, I think they're still better than a lot of horror movie side characters. Another issue is that, as I said, we don't see all of Kevin's personalities despite being promised 23, technically 24. But I consider this a nitpick because I sincerely don't think Shyamalan is done with this character. And I think we're going to see more of him in the future. And given this movie was already running 2 hours long, I imagine there's probably some deleted scenes on the DVD or an extended cut that will show more with the other personalities. Because there was a spot where they could have shown more, and I feel like they planned to show more, but they had to cut it for time. So I'm expecting that to be on the DVD. The last big issue is kind of subjective and may or may not be an issue. I can see it being a problem for some people, but it never was for me, but I still feel it's worth mentioning. This isn't a very fast-paced movie. It's more a build-up towards the climax of the film, with this constant aura of dread and unease throughout. Though not to an overwhelming degree. My advice is don't go into this film expecting instant gratification or lots of blood and gore and action right out of the gate. You gotta wait for the build-up to happen before you get to the climax. So, if you're not a patient person, this film might not be for you. I didn't personally have a problem with this because I felt it was to the film's benefit. But it might be an issue for some other viewers, so I thought it was fair to warn you that this film kind of takes its time to build up to the action rather than giving you all the action right off the bat. One last thing that's not really an issue, but I feel still warrants talking about, is, no spoilers given, the twist. Surprise, surprise, a Shyamalan movie has a twist. but I don't think this will be one everyone will get. If you're one of the people that didn't get it, just look it up. There's no shame in that. You're not dumb for not putting things together. It's kind of a twist that you need to be a long-term watcher of Shyamalan's work to actually understand. It won't ruin the movie if you don't get the twist. I just felt I needed to elaborate on that fact. Overall, I found Split pretty dang good, and I was glued to the screen throughout most of it. I definitely recommend this film to fans of horror, and especially to fans of psychological thrillers, because this is a very psychological film. This has been Godzillawolf 1. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, and subscribe, and click that little bell down there to make sure you get notifications about my videos. See you guys next time. Bye! I still don't have a catchphrase.